She going live, but she don't do like a video first. Did you hear?
The time for change is now.
Say
If you care about
No.
the time for change is now.
If you care about me when I do this,
Or when I do this, you should care about us when we do this. I won't always be an athlete, but I will forever be a Black woman.
you've had my back here.
Now, have my back here. No one should feel unsafe due to the color of their skin.
All lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Join us in the fight to end systemic racism.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Wouldn't you agree with me that there are just too many people getting divorced these days? Well, it's time for us to secure the family unit. Make it stronger. That's all coming up next, right here on the Ella Johnson Show. We'll be right back.
And joining me for tonight's broadcast as my co-host is Letitia Rogers.
Hello, everyone. It's time for the Ella Johnson Show. I am so very excited that I have my friends with me. Listen, guys, have you ever heard the saying, just love the one you're with? Well, I'm from a different mindset that you should be with the one you love, because sometimes some of you are not with the one you love. I'm just saying. Well, after listening to my guests tonight, as you can see, I have couples here that are going to school all of us on love and marriage. And my special co-host, Letitia Rogers, look at her, looking all beautiful there. My girl from Monroeville, she's a native. She's out there doing her thing from state to state, taking care of people as a nurse. And I just love that. Welcome to being my co-host tonight, Letitia. You should have put that in your ID, co-host, because you are the co-host tonight. Okay. You might have to take over. Welcome again, Tish, to the broadcast. Well, guys, listen, I have some very special guests that are joining us tonight, and they're going to...
I think she'll be back. So, co-host, you have to take over.
It's a setup.
It is. So now you have to get lively. You know, this is live. You know, when it's live, you improvise.
Yeah, true.
Always technical difficulties.
All right. And you're from Monroeville, co-host?
I am.
I did not know it was so many ladies from Monroeville so outgoing.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you have any questions for us, co-hosts?
Well, I'm trying to see what's going on with Ella. I do have a couple of questions, but
Oh,
I'll hold them off for a minute.
okay.
Where is she?
She may have had a power outage or something. Here she is.
Ella.
I'm here, guys. I'm here. Listen, I was talking in the background, but you guys didn't hear me. I was talking about my guest, but you know what? You see, you already got your chance to be host. How did that feel, Letitia?
I was terrified.
You're gonna do fine. You're gonna do fine because I know you know what, you are married, so you can shed light on a lot of stuff tonight. But I want everybody that's watching the broadcast to meet my guest for tonight, Malcolm and Nicole Taylor. In July, guys, it will be 21 years since they said I do. Now, for those of you that can count, that's over 2 decades. All right,
That's
that
a
they
long
have been
time.
together and doing this thing called love. With this union comes 3 beautiful children, Malcolm IV, Sydney, and Miles. As a couple, they enjoy traveling, spending time with family and friends, and ministering to other couples like me and all of those of you out there who, want to be there. So they spend time doing that. They have taken it to the next level because for 6 years, Malcolm and Nicole were marriage leaders. That means they are specialized in this area. So we're going to get some good information tonight from these guys. Now, let me put some respect on their accomplishments because I love when people come to the broadcast like this because they have done so much and we got to put some respect on it. Let's go here. Malcolm has a BS in business, a master of theology, a master of marriage and family therapy, and a master of business administration. Okay, so he can tell us about marriage and how to run a business all at the same time. I love it. Then we have Dr. Okay, did y'all hear that? Dr. Nicole Taylor. She has a BA in social work. She has a master's and a specialist degree in education and a PhD in reading literacy. Guys, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
I feel like we're going to go to school tonight, Tish. Right?
That's right. I
I
need to go to school.
I need to go to school. I'm going to play this back and learn something. Maybe I can get another husband. I don't know. You think there's hope for me, Tish?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I do. I do.
Okay.
There's always hope.
Yeah.
Always hope. Then my next couple, Brian and Alicia. After his divorce, Brian met someone who taught him that it's okay to love again. Aww. Just this past September 2020, Brian and Alicia said their I do's in a Sunrise Beach wedding service after dating for 3 years. Alicia is an educator, and my boy Brian is an actor, a poet, and the host of Confessions with Brian T. Bethia. He has a podcast on WHJM 102 Jams. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ella.
Yes. Well, we know each other. We've been knowing each other for a while. We're both here in Orlando and I know Nicole and her family. I know all her family. We just all hung out. And I know Tish. I mean, we're all family. We're amongst family here, right? So we're going to have a great conversation, guys. And those of you that are just tuning in tonight, the show is about love.
Happened again?
Yeah, Letitia, you are just being put on.
I think that's the reason why she invited me.
Yeah.
That's all right. You're going to do a good job. I'm calling it right now. You're going to be great.
Uh-huh.
Well, for those looking live, I mean, it's 23 years.
Yeah, it's
this 23. Summer.
Don't get it twisted. It's 23, not 21.
Yeah.
Right?
you know, when you're putting in for retirement and if they short you 2-3 years, you're like, hold on.
Right.
Yeah.
My years.
Yeah.
That's a great accomplishment.
Yeah.
23 years is look at the same person. That's a lot.
You're right. You're right about
That's
that.
awesome.
Well, I'm really not playing games with you tonight. For some reason, my thing went out to see. You see, this is what I'm talking about. This is a very good example, people, those of you that are watching, why it's always to have somebody that's got your back. You see, I went out for a second and my girl was there handling things. So listen, we're going to, tonight on the broadcast, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about love and marriage. And these two couples are here. They decided to come to the broadcast and share with us their experiences on marriage so that we can, do better. You're sitting at home, you're mad at your husband right now, right? Some of you're mad at him. You don't want, and you need to wake them up and tell them, let's tune into the Ella Johnson show. See if maybe, somebody on there can help us. Well, listen, there are plenty of people here that can help you tonight. I like hearing about the stories of how you guys met. So we're going to start with you, Malcolm and Nicole. Tell us how you guys met.
Wow. How do we meet? Well, go ahead, babe.
Well, we met, of course, I'm from Monroeville, Alabama, and of course, my uncle and some of my homeboys and homegirls were attending Alabama A&M University in Huntsville. And so, of course, my uncle persuaded me to come to Huntsville to go to college. And so I did. And Malcolm owned a barber and hair salon. And so
While I was in college.
While he was in college.
Wow.
And so I met him going into my sophomore year.
Yeah, your sophomore.
My sophomore year, I started going into the hair salon to get my eyebrows done and things like that. And he was very quiet to me. He was a gentleman. I've never heard him say anything out of the way to anyone. He carried himself like an older person to us. We thought he was older because of how he carried himself and how he dressed. He wore slacks, a dress shirt, sometimes a tie. And so over the course of a year, I started going in and letting him do my hair some. And so probably around about a year and a half, two later, I used to work at Popeyes. And so I couldn't afford to pay the full price for my hair. And so I said, you know what, if you come to the drive-thru, I give you some chicken.
Wait a minute. She used her barter skills to say, I'll give you some chicken if you hook up my hair.
That is business 101.
And I know you didn't turn that chicken down. Can't turn the chicken down.
I know. We got a weakness for chicken.
Okay.
yeah. So I eventually approached her and extended an opportunity, I guess, for us to get to know each other better. And she turned it down at first.
Why?
I don't. Well, honestly,
she was busy.
Well, honestly, I was trying to get to know this other person, but we never could connect the other person. We never could. And so one night I was like, I really don't want to go home. I don't want to, I want to talk, hang out with somebody. So I called him. This is when payphone. I didn't have cell phone. We had payphone. And so I pulled over to a payphone because I couldn't find the guy's house, the directions to get there. So I called him. And then I went over and we stayed up. We talked till the sun rose, and we've been together ever since then.
Yeah, literally. We talked. Nothing more than that. We talked all night long.
And I knew when I left that I said, God, this is the one.
Oh, now that's deep. How did you know that?
Well, from over the course of time of going into the hair salon, I just observed him. And his mannerisms were just, he was a gentleman. And he didn't say anything negative with the females around. He didn't curse. They played a variety of music, but they also played Christian music. And it's just how he carried himself. And so when we talked that night, just to go back a little bit, I had prayed to God in my last relationship. I said, God, the next person that you send me out, that I wanted to be from you. And I want it to be my husband, and I want him to be someone who loves his mother. And if he has a sister, he loves his sister. Because to me, that represented respect and also love for females. And so when we stayed up and talked that night, I just left feeling it like, this is gonna be my husband.
Aw. Did you feel the same way, Malcolm?
You know what? We were very young, right? I'm 21 or 22, and she's about a year younger than me. When I wouldn't say I felt marriage, right? But I did feel a very close draw to her, a magnetism. But now I did get I guess you can call it a spiritual warning. Like, if you date this young woman, it's going to be more serious than you think it's going to be. So I did get that type of premonition.
Oh, that's beautiful, right, Tish? What do you think about that? She's frozen.
Yeah,
She's frozen, I think.
You do get that. Seriously, when you meet somebody, you can kind of tell. I mean, it doesn't always, work out sometimes, but most of the times you get that feeling and you kind of know, so they knew.
All right, Brian and Alicia. I'm telling you, girl, you must have put you were putting some serious perms in her head. I'm telling you, you were making that stuff straight.
It didn't hurt. Ella, it didn't hurt that her brother had a little change at a young age too.
See,
I was in a different tax bracket even as a young.
That's nice. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So 26 years altogether, because we dated for 3 years.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Okay. So Ella, he probably put more than perms on her, but we ain't gonna talk about that.
That's on down the road there, I tell you. All right, so Brian and Alicia, tell us how you guys met.
You know what? I'm gonna let her tell it because that's something we never agree on. So I'm just going ahead and let her tell it.
Okay.
Well, the thing is that we knew each other or of each other because a friend of mine used to take me to his church. Every now and then I would meet at their church, and I recognized him. So I knew who he was, but he didn't remember me. And I mean, I thought he was cute, but at the time, oh gosh.
Go ahead, keep going.
At the time, Brian was married, so I didn't think much of him at that time. Well, not much of him, but he didn't stay on my mind.
Off limits. He was off limits.
He was off limits.
Okay.
So, and just every now and then we would see each other and run into each other just because of a mutual friend.
The same mutual friend.
Yeah, same mutual friend. And then there was one time that we connected. You want to tell that?
Yeah, there's one time we really connected. Eugenia Agard, and Eugenia had a get together at her house, and we just so happened to be leaving at the same time. And you ever been with somebody and it's like that awkward, like you feel like this connection, but it's like, you're trying to figure out what it is or what have you. And
I knew what it was for me on a lot of times, Tish. Okay, and it didn't have anything to do with God. I'm just gonna say
alcohol? Was it the alcohol?
I'm just gonna be real. It didn't always have something to do with God. But go ahead, finish your story.
We was walking down the driveway or what have you, so we kind of felt like a little connection there. And to fast forward, she would always come to my open mic that I host.
And come to his open mic sometimes.
Yeah,
that's where the difference comes in.
She would come to my open mic, and we would just find ourselves eventually talking with each other. And then one day, after I was finally divorced, I happened to call her up one day and was just like, "Hey, would you like to go to the movies with me?" And she said, "Yeah." And we went to go see Fast and Furious 7 was our first official date. And so we dated for about 3 months until maybe like June of like 2017. And then one day we went up to South Carolina so I could go perform at this festival I was performing at, and on the way there, I think I asked her to be my, I was ready to make that next step, and asked her to be my girlfriend. And I kind of knew she was going to be the one, because on the way back, we stopped to see some of my family in Jacksonville, and they gave her the 3rd degree, and she lasted. And afterwards, they were just like, we really, really like this one. So I'm like, all right, I appreciate it, guys. She's a good one. And so we've been together ever since.
Yeah, it just seemed like our paths just kept crossing, and like you said, he was married and he was in his marriage, and I was doing my thing and getting my heart broken and living my life, and then it just seemed like it was God, I do believe, and like Nicole was saying, I was in my own world and praying and asking God, I want someone who loves the Lord and someone who is, going to follow you. And he was that person.
Now, for those of you that are watching this, I know this couple, and I know they didn't cross the line when he was married. So I want to put that out there, because when you said that he was married, the first thing people think like,
Yeah.
But I know. I mean, y'all, come on now. Everybody watching, y'all know you thought about it. So I'm hearing that. So I wanted to make that very clear, because I don't want mixed messages here, that she was godly enough to wait. And, so I don't know, a lot of us don't.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And she's met my ex-wife's mother, and she absolutely loves her. And more so because she accepted my son, and because she loves me. So I still have a tight bond with the family and what have you. So she absolutely loves her as well. And not too many people can actually, say that. I know ours is a little bit of a weird situation, but my, in-laws over there, they love her absolutely.
So Tish, what do you think about that? When you find people that they're already in a marriage and they see somebody and they're like, oh my God, can that be it? Like, how much of that is love and how much of that could be lust?
It goes back to what I said originally. Just because somebody is married doesn't mean it's doesn't mean God sent you that person. So that doesn't, I know, you still have to respect boundaries, but sometimes you can still feel the vibe, regardless of what situation they're in. And they probably just, like you said, kept meeting each other, and they probably felt something. But, just because you feel something doesn't mean you have to act on it. Everybody doesn't do that. Like you said, she waited.
That's good advice for our viewers.
It's not going to stop you from, you can still feel something for somebody, even if, the situation is not right.
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 Yeah. So I want to know, Malcolm, what do you see when you see Nicole? What is that one characteristic of her, even today, that just does it for you? Like, what is that one thing about her you like, oh, I just give you that ugly face. Just like, oh, I love this girl. What is that thing for you?
I always tell my wife that she's crazy, right? and not in a negative way. You know how you say, you are so crazy,
Yeah.
She's that kind of woman where we can have fun together. And she just says certain things that you just say, girl, you are crazy. And she doesn't take it personal, like I'm saying something wrong, because we just have those moments where we can laugh. So, yeah. And we've been doing that since we've been dating. So, guys, and of course now, it's not easy. We have our ups and our downs. That can be.
We're going to get to some of those downs, too.
Right, they can be pretty low. Yeah. So we're not trying to paint a Hollywood picture here, but I'm just your question, Ellen. That's one of the things. Yeah.
Now, Nicole, what about him? When you look at him, when you see him, you like, ooh, girl, I'm so glad I married this man. What is that thing for you?
Well, to be honest, he's very. I love an intelligent man, and Malcolm is so smart to me. Men, excuse me, but men think they know it all anyway. Yeah. But he's very smart, and he had a good example as a good role model in the home, And Malcolm is truly the spiritual leader of our home. And then another thing that I love about him is that if he never said to me, "I love you," I know it because of his actions. And so
Ooh.
those three things, his intelligence, how he leads our home spiritually, and the way he shows me that he loves me.
Wow. Those are very good answers. I can tell just looking at you guys. I can tell the love just looking at your photos. You know, I can tell that you really enjoy being with each other because I've seen couples take pictures together and they don't even touch each other. They're just like, eh. But you guys are just like all into each other. And I love that. Right, Tish? Can't you tell when you see their pictures?
Yeah,
I can
you
see
can.
it. Yeah, I can see it. All right. Well, Brian, when you look at Alicia, what is it about you when you see her? You like, oof, man, look at I'm glad I waited. What is that? Because you guys are newlyweds, pretty much. So you're doing something. You guys got that cheesy look on your face, like you've been up to something. I'm just saying, because I know you waited. I know you waited. This couple waited until they were married before they engaged in sexual intercourse.
That's beautiful.
I can just put that out there because I personally know them. And is that where that smile is coming from? You figured out. Just saying.
I'll be honest with you. Yes. No. That's part of it. But it's like I get to be with my best friend, all the time. So, and she challenges me to do better. That's the most important thing. On a side note, a lot of men like for their women to be a lot of men like for their women to be a challenge, and meaning that some guys actually love crazy drama-filled women. I don't, but so when I say she challenges me, meaning like she challenges me to do better. And for instance, so she amazes me when she does that. Like for instance, I did a musical, knowing I can't sing, and she wanted me to go for my audition anyway, which I had forgotten about. And I went in there. I told her I wasn't going. She said, "Just go. You never know what might happen." I'm like, all right, I'll go. And I ended up going, got the audition. The director had seen me before because I had auditioned for him from a previous play, but he remembered that I'm a poet. And my vocals weren't up to par. Let's just say that. But he said, what we can do? We can turn that and do like something poetry wise. And what I ended up doing, I ended up getting the part. And then the musical was The Wiz, and I ended up getting the part of the Wizard, and all because of her, because she got on me and was like, "Go." I'm like, "All right, fine." I called her back a couple of hours later and was like, "Hey, I got the part." And so she knows how to push that button in a good way to really get me to do best. And I know when I look at her, I just marvel at her. Like, all right, I'm going to accomplish all these great things, and most of the time it's going to be because of her. Because no man really has accomplished. No man has accomplished anything. Has really accomplished anything without the help of a good woman behind him. Whether it be his wife, his girlfriend, his mother, his grandmother, or what have you. It's always been some woman that played a good role in a successful man's life. And I know for me, that's her.
I like that. What about you, Alicia? What is that thing that makes you say, "Man, I'm so glad I waited on this hazel-eyed man"?
That's what it is. Those hazel eyes.
Got him. Got him.
I really, just the way that he's so caring and compassionate. Just being around Brian, he helps to uplift other people. Like if you have ever been to his open mic, that's where I saw him originally in the most. But at his open mic, he would allow people to share their thoughts, but he wouldn't let anyone downplay other people or what would you say?
Downplay themselves.
Or downplay themselves either. But even with us in our relationship, if we're having a heated discussion or argument, you know, a lot of times I'm that one who grits my teeth and just and just you know, I won't move, but he's the first to apologize. And you know, I love that about him, and it just makes me want to be more compassionate and loving, and you know, and realize, you know, life is short. You know, you shouldn't hold on and harbor things. So he's helping me to release, you know, things and just love more.
Aw. So what do you have to add to that, Tish?
I can definitely relate to her because I am the stubborn one. I will get mad and pack everything in the house, and it can be some miniature. It's just, you know, it's just me. But then, like in my marriage now, he will not let me do any of that. You know, he always brings me back to where I need to be. So I can definitely relate to her because I'm definitely stubborn. Definitely. It's good that you have somebody like that, as so you won't be
That
doing
is good. How did you guys propose? Malcolm, how did you propose to Nicole?
Ooh, how did I propose?
Let me see who's the Mac in the group here. Who's the Mac daddy?
My proposal was on impulse, right? Now you got to remember, I guess we won't say youth isn't out, but for me, my ideal was I have to do it now or I never will. And reason why I said that is because your nerves, you know, I'm like, do I really want to do this forever? So it was really like one evening.
It was New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I just kind of just said it. I didn't have a ring.
And
I didn't have nothing.
And look, he asked me, and I said, "Are you for real?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, where's the ring?"
I said, "I don't have it." I mean, I'm like, "Look, you know, it was just like that." Yeah, I know.
I know. It works for me.
And here's the kicker: she said yes, right?
Wow.
So she was like, "Oh, well, we'll get married in a year from now." And you know what I told her? I said, "You got to get me while it's hot, girl, because I don't know." You know, this wasn't a sexual thing. I just said that, you know, I'm a young man, and I just feel like, you know, we need to do this thing like in 6 months, you know. And she said,
wow.
I don't know if 6 months, if that's enough time for me to have the wedding I want. I said, well, you're a colorful woman in thought, so think about it, get it together, and let's do it in 6 months. And she was like, all right. Yeah.
Without a ring, Tish. Now, come on. You know, women of today.
No ring. And then you want her to hurry up.
Yeah.
You want her to hurry up with no ring.
But you know, yeah, you know, you see stuff. You see all the things on TV and how people propose, and that's cute and nice. But you know, for me, honestly, I knew I had a good man, so I knew the ring was going to come. So I mean, that's material, you know. So, but I did get a ring, but I got him. So,
you know, like she said, sometimes I overthink things, and I'm like, you know, there's a bunch of wedding bands in pawn shops, you know. So I want to have a good marriage.
That's true.
I mean,
I probably got a couple in there myself.
Hey, I want to form a marriage, so let me do this thing. But she did tell me, you know, you don't have a ring for me. But she accepted my, I guess you can call it excuse.
I am very impressed with that. And Nicole, your response gave me chills. Because the women of today, Tish, and you know I'm not lying, there is no way a man is going to come at them and say, I'll get it. I just want to know if you'll commit to me. That's not enough. But she knew what was real. It wasn't about the marriage. It wasn't about the wedding. It was about the marriage. She was making sure that was solid. So what would the women of today do, Tish? What would they say to Malcolm?
Go call their friends and be like, girl, you know, he tried to propose to me, girl. He didn't even have a ring. they'll put him out there, tell everybody. Talk about him.
Social media.
Yeah.
Social media.
But I knew something was going on too, if I can add. His palms were sweaty. And I said, what's wrong? I said, why are your palms sweaty? You know?
Yeah, I think he had a moment of desperation where it was like he said, it's gonna be now or never. Like, you know, he just had something to come over him and he had to do it then. And I feel him completely. and I applaud you for accepting. That was very beautiful.
So did you have the wedding of your dreams?
I did. I really did.
See, you don't need all that time, Tish. 6 months.
I put it into action.
Yeah, with hindsight being 2020, she even said she could have scaled it down because we had 10 on each side.
Yeah, I could have scaled it down.
And she said, wow, we could have really scaled that down to just me and you. But, that's hindsight.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So how did you propose, Brian?
Oh, woo. Yeah. She was getting on me like, when we gonna get married? And I'm like, baby, when we gonna get married? Don't worry about it. We gonna get married. When? I'm like, all right.
Look.
But I got to the point. I finally got myself to the point, and I will admit, because I was nervous because my first marriage didn't work out, and I wanted to make sure, even though I knew this was one I was going to marry, I wanted to make sure it was going to, last or what have you. But I happened to say to myself one day, look, it's either now or never. COVID done messed up my plan. So my original plan was her family reunion was supposed to be last year down here in Orlando. So I was going to have a bunch of people, a bunch of family members come to my show and do it there. So I chose not to and do it another way. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to get the ring today. It was on a Saturday. It was like the last Saturday in June. And I told my son, I'm finally going to go ahead and get a ring for her or what have you. And I kid you not, at the time he was 12, and he said, Dad, go to K's. I said,
they're always on television.
So, yeah, I'm like, what you know about going? All right. He said, go to K's. So I went to K's. I got a ring that was a size too small. I knew it was too small, but I'm like, I don't care. I know I can take the ring back later and she can get the size that she wants. I'm going to propose now. And we happen to have this song that we love. It's by Snow Allegra called Somebody Like You. And we love that song. And I happen to introduce her music to her, and she absolutely now loves her music as well. So we went to Baldwin Park. If you know where Baldwin Park is, it's a really nice park.
Very nice. Yeah, very nice.
Really nice lake or what have you. So I brought my Bluetooth speakers and had them in my bag. I had the ring with me and everything. We went walking because that's our thing. We love to go walking together. And we went walking. We sat on a bench and we were just talking there for a little bit. I'm like, I'm just biding my time. And then I heard this family arguing. I'm like, all right, I need to do this right now because this family about to mess up what's about to happen right now. So I'm like, I started playing the music or what have you. I think she kind of said something was going on. I pulled out the ring and I finally asked her. I got on one knee and asked her if she would marry me. And, obviously, yes. And just as I was finished proposing, that loud family came by and was like causing all the ruckus, but thank God I already got the words out of my mouth and the ring on the finger. And but this one random dude was walking by, was riding his bike, and he's like, "Oh my God, is this a proposal?" And
he was on his knee.
While I was on my knee, caught me on my knee, and he asked to take a picture of us, and he did, and we ended up thanking him for it and everything. So that's how I ended up.
Sent it to us. Asked us for our number and sent it to us and everything. Wow. And then after we got married, we sent him a picture of us once we got married.
Oh, that's nice. So people still get on their knees? Did you get on your knees, Malcolm?
I did.
Wow.
That was a long time ago.
You know, if I'm gonna keep it real, we was in the bed.
It was after worship and praise.
Yeah,
right.
That's why your hands were sweaty, huh?
Yeah.
Praying.
It was worship and praise. We started and Ellen left. Keep going. You gotta keep going.
Yeah. We was having worship and praise and
yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, Nicole. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
Wow. So since we're talking about the bed, listen. Now we're gonna be real here. I mean, we all know what it is when you're dating, right? And you know you're gonna get married. So you're like, we might as well go ahead and be intimate. Do people do like what you guys did, Brian and Alicia? Well, let me just let everybody know how that was, that you guys did not engage in sexual intercourse until you got married. How? Wow, he's rolling his head already. It's pretty tough, huh?
Well, I did tell Brian that, so the weekend that he talked about us going up to South Carolina, when he asked me to be his girlfriend, I did tell him that that weekend or before.
You told me before that.
Oh, okay. I had already told him that I was waiting until I got married again, just because, you know, it was just being out there dating because you know, I'm a little bit of an older bride than Nicole might have been, but I was tired. I didn't want to share my body with anyone else except for who my husband was going to be, and then I wanted that commitment. So I told him that, and prior to that, it ran off some men, and which was fine because I was at that point, but. I did tell Brian, and I think he thought I was playing.
Brian, how did you handle that? I mean, really, real talk. How did you guys handle that?
Oh, it wasn't well. I was like, I did everything. Malcolm, I'm sure can attest. I did everything a man possibly could. You know what I'm saying, to get her to come off the drawers. And it just wasn't happening. And I knew her stance was, I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna just be patient. She'll give in eventually, what have you. And I'm like, she just was not budging. But at the same time, I was not giving her up. So I was like, I'm gonna just have to suck this one up and take it for the team, and and hold on. But eventually, because she and I didn't see eye to eye at the time, she wanted to wait till marriage. I was like, yeah, you be all right with that. And but I eventually came around, and I felt like, for me, God was just like, you need to wait for this one. And I was like, all right, well, it ain't like I'm not going to be stupid and not listen to you. If you told me to wait, you know what I'm saying, then I'm going to go ahead and wait. So, but it was tough.
And we don't think we were angels at everything. We got some close calls. I was like, oh,
yes.
Getting to you, wasn't it? Yeah.
Human.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, you're human. Just like Malcolm said, you guys are human. You're human.
And especially after she wears like my favorite dress that she wears. Okay. And she has a really, really nice shape. And it's like, I can't get none of that until I'm saying I do. Like,
there you go.
Really?
But Tish, do women still do that? Like she waited.
I mean, they probably
said no.
do. I'm not one of those women because I'm not gonna buy a used car unless I test drive it. I'm sorry. I don't want to be stuck with women. I do not want to be stuck with women.
Put you down. What would happen? You wouldn't buy it?
Yeah, no.
Well, she just said she's gonna ride it before she marries it.
But no, seriously, honestly, I think that some people take it to the extreme. I feel like when you love somebody and you guys are attracted to each other, it's natural. That's natural to be attracted to each other. It's natural to want to touch and hug and kiss. That's natural. So I don't have a problem with it. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, he fine, she fine. Y'all looking at each other, and y'all gonna wait. I mean, what we waiting on? That's just my opinion. Like, I feel like if we're gonna get married, then let's go to the courthouse if we gotta wait, because I ain't waiting. but it's natural. It's natural. I just feel like being sexually attracted to somebody is natural. We're humans, and I don't feel like that we should make it seem like it's a bad thing. It's not. You're going to be all over each other. If you love each other, you are going to be on each other. You're going to be all over each other. It's just, it is what it is.
It is what it is. You
And
know,
I think some people just take it too serious. Just relax. It's okay.
I mean, because they haven't stopped smiling since we came on. Okay.
Hey,
I recognize those grins.
Sometimes
they were trying to get. She was trying to get her wig together before they came on. Like, let me turn this thing around.
I heard that. Well, listen, guys. I think that those things are all beautiful. What would you say to people? Because right now, I started the show off by saying that, back in the day, we heard that thing, just be with the one you love. I think there's a song that talks about that. But I'm from the mindset that you should be with, they say love the one you're with. That's what the saying is. But I'm from the old school and mindset that you should be with the one you love. Is that just is that real? Is that something that's true? Do we still do that? Do we still wait for that? Tish, Brian, Alicia, Malcolm.
So my grandmother told me to be with the one that loves you. I mean, I think it goes both ways. You can love a person, but sometimes, especially women, we chase after somebody that really doesn't reciprocate the love that we're giving them. So sometimes, if you see something good in a person, you should give them a chance. But my grandma always told me, be with the one that loves you. And I think
that's good advice.
You gotta balance it out. I mean, you don't want to be with somebody that you don't love, but you get what I'm saying.
Because people settle and just love the one they're with. And what do you think, guys?
I think what happens more often than not is we remove boundaries that we should keep, and that can I don't want to say it can ruin the relationship, but like Alicia just said, she set a boundary, and that boundary was, I'm not going to be sexually active until I marry the next man that I'm with. And she put that boundary up, and that was not a bad boundary. And the blessing is Brian was willing to stay within her boundaries. But oftentimes, pre-marriage, we have boundaries, but we move them backwards or forwards or remove them all the way just for either lust or not wanting to be alone. And that really, for all of us, if we just say, you know what, I'm going to keep my healthy boundaries, whatever those boundaries are, it helps all the relationships. It doesn't even have to be a marriage relationship. We just keep those healthy boundaries. And if they can't accept your boundary, that means they're not supposed to be with you. Yeah. And if you can't accept theirs, you're not supposed to be with them.
Very good advice. I like that.
Yeah.
And we have 3 kids. Well, 1 adult. We have one daughter. She'll be graduating from high school. And although I wasn't raised to wait until marriage, I wish I would have taught that. But we have been teaching our children that. Now, whether they decide to do that or not, but in our home, we teach that. Wait till you get married. Because, for us, that's it's something between 2 people. When you get married, that's how God intended for it. So that's our belief, and that's how we raise our children.
I agree with that 100%. But if you've already just been out there,
I want to also add that I like to say, be with the one you don't want to live without.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, be with the one you don't want to live without. Not the one, doesn't mean that you can't live without them. I'm saying just be with the one you don't want to live without, because maybe that person, you just connect with somebody on such a spiritual level that it's just like you just really enjoy. You don't even have to have sex with them just to really enjoy your time with them. Just sometimes just being around in a great conversation is really enough to satisfy your appetite of being around that person. And being connected like that will actually make the love life actually better, because now you're in tune with each other or what have you, and you're in that moment with that someone that you actually feel is like God created just for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
I like what. I like what Stephanie said there. She said, yes, a lot of women still save themselves. It's worth the wait. And she said that you were on point, Malcolm, with what you were saying, and that all believers we should sustain according to God's word. Very true. Very true. Now, from a biblical standpoint, Malcolm, because I know that you guys are marriage ministers, why did God say that? Why did he say that it's better for you to wait?
That is an awesome question, because there's some things that God has asked us to do that just seem so like, really, and some people can find those really questions in the Ten Commandments. But when you look at the things that he has asked us to do, it's for our benefit, right? It's almost like in parenting. And I believe that we all in this circle have said we have children. And we have told our children certain things that they just don't agree with, but it's for their benefit. And although we did not wait, and a blessing Brian and Alicia did, we understand from hindsight being 20/20 vision that had we waited, our marriage bond in terms of the sexual nature would have been to us more pleasing. And when I say just waited between ourselves, waited even before we even met each other. Oftentimes, you're told, especially we men, experience, women, experience different women in different ways so that you'll know what you want when you get married. And the same thing for women as well. But if you're with the first person and you marry that first person, it's just so much more better. Yeah. That way. Because of what you begin to understand as you go forward in your life. And it's kind of hard to communicate that to people who just don't. Yeah. And that goes back to your original
from their flesh.
What God is asking to do.
So I'm sure as a minister, you have to.
I lost you.
Yeah, I'm sure as ministers, you have to tell people how to encourage people how to control their flesh, because that's what causes us to want these things that are not good for us. And how do you find that balance with people saying, "But Pastor, listen, I just want it. I haven't been with someone for the last 3 years. Like, come on, God understands, right?" Then we start trying to find a way to justify it. But I think I understand why, because it's the soul ties. Isn't the sex is what brings those soul ties? And the worst thing you could do is have a soul tie with someone that you don't need to be in a soul tie with. How much of that is it as well, Malcolm?
And when we talk about the soul tie, when we talk about human behavior, and you did mention that, MFT, marriage and family therapy, it is so hard to predict and talk about human behavior, because we can't control ourselves. Even when we talk about our New Year's resolution, a lot of people break a New Year's resolution at 12:01, right? But they made it wholeheartedly at 11:59. So when we talk about marriage and relationships, I tell people we marry expectation and we divorce reality. And oftentimes, if you just you don't even have to be like a guru, but if you say, you know what, this is what I want to expect for myself, we're back to that boundary thing again. And it creates a better reality for ourselves. And God has given us that set of boundaries that if we just say, you know what, I don't even know what I want, just allow him to give it for you and you'll be okay.
What do you have to say about that, Brian and Alicia?
You want to answer that?
No, I totally agree. When you stay in his boundaries, and like you were saying, he created them not to punish us or to keep us away from fun, but to allow us to have the abundance of what we're supposed to have. So going back to what we were originally talking about, with waiting for each other, having those soul ties and things of that sort, wondering, I can speak for myself, having had intimacy before being married with someone else, And then wondering, is this person going to be there, fighting for the relationship and almost like trying to grab at it and make sure it's staying there. But all along, that wasn't what God had for me anyway. But then realizing, okay, I've made that mistake and it's okay to start over. I know some people are like, well, once you're in that, then that's just who you are. Well, no, I started over. And I became a born again virgin or whatever you want to call it.
Is that possible?
For me, it was. But,
I think I want to sign up for that, Tish. What do you think?
I think Brian can attest to it. It kind of was.
Sign up, Ella. I think that's wonderful.
Well,
I want to go back to what Malcolm said. I think that if everybody had done it from the start, that things would have been better in your relationship if you would have just waited on that one person. But now that people are jumping from person to person to person, people don't respect it anymore. It's not valued anymore. So I think it's just, if we could just get back to that, but it's just, I feel like it's.
Well, I like to think that we've actually cheapened marriage, where people don't take it seriously no more. And you're expecting some people to be marriage material, and they're not even taking the time right now to get to know somebody enough to see if this person is marriage material. And I think a lot of times we get like speaking as a man, for instance, a man might meet an attractive woman. Oh, she's nice looking. She's got this, she's got that. She looks like this. She's stacked or what have you. And we're so consumed by an outward appearance that we're not really focusing on, like, this woman is actually crazy. She's nuts. She's just her personality or what have you. She can be beyond crazy. She can just be psycho, but he's so. Yeah, she's or dealing with past hurts or what have you. She could be on like her life could be on like I like to say her life could be like on a train where she has never unpacked her baggage. You know what I'm saying? And he might not seem to understand why does she get so upset over little stuff, and it's because he doesn't know that little things might trigger something. But he's like, figuring, oh, this woman, her breasts are like out the head. She got a fatty back there, what have you. He's stuck on that. And he doesn't want no other man to get it because his pride is in the way. Yeah. But, he has to understand sometimes, that's not like that. And a lot of men aren't really taught, a lot of these things or what have you. You're thinking, a man's like, I got to sow all my royal oats. And then we finally get to a point where it's like, I'm ready to find that woman to settle down, what have you. So, we have to also teach men in general, it's all right if you meet that one woman, you ain't got to sleep with 50 million different women. It's about, quality, not quantity. You know what I'm saying? You could sleep with 50 million women, but still never sleep with a woman with quality. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a lot of it. We have to also teach and then pass that down so that these, so our future generations know how to handle what a marriage really is. And women, on the other hand, I'm sorry to go on for so long. I just had a lot on my mind right now. Women are also taught about outward appearance as well. Like, a man has to have a certain size bank account, has to have a certain size a car or what have you, if he has a nice crib. But she may not understand, like, he's a serial cheater. Lies about everything. He'll lie about taking a shower, or what have you, if that's the case. And lies about how much money he really has or makes it, what have you. So we're so consumed about outer appearance and wanting to do better than the next person, and we're just not concerned with getting to actually know somebody and putting in that work, going to war to really get to know somebody, so that when you have a, like, New Edition, Can You Stand the Rain? When you go through those rainstorms, you'll be able to have that umbrella over you, you know what I'm saying, to make sure you get through those storms or what have you. So we have to have that stamina built up to make sure these relationships stay.
Now let me ask the other ladies, Tish and Nicole, what do you guys think about women who really look into those things before they decide to be with someone. Do women still do that, or is that
Yes.
a thing of the past?
No, I think it has gotten worse. It has gotten. I think that is a thing. I look at my kids. I have a daughter that's 23, and her friends and my nieces and nephews, and you just sit around and listen to them talk. All they talk about is, oh, he has a nice car. Did you see those shoes he had on? He wear all the cute clothes, and he is so cute. And I tell them all the time, you guys looking at the wrong thing. This little nerdy dude over here that's doing good in school, that's trying to make some of himself, that's the guy you want. I said, you don't want this man because he's gonna take you down through there because you think he's cute and he knows he's cute and he knows that everybody else think he's cute. So he's gonna take advantage of the situation. But I feel like young people they don't get it. I've been there before. But as you get older, you realize what's important. It's not those things. Those things are nice, but that's not the end all to everything. And I just, I don't know what we're gonna do with these young folks. I don't know. I think they just got to go through it just like we did. They just gonna have to learn.
What do you
About
think,
this
Nicole?
is the best lesson.
Yeah.
Well, we have to keep in mind too. Social media, what's on TV, what they see, how they're being raised, and so again, with our daughter, we try to encourage her. It's not what someone has, and we're as parents, we're competing with a lot of different things. Music, like I said, TV, social media, and so we have to be cognizant of that and not. We have to take that into account because it was different when we were growing up. It's a good thing we didn't have social media, Facebook and FaceTiming and filming and recording everything because a lot of us would be in trouble probably. So we just have to be mindful of what our kids are going through and what they see. But it starts in the home. We have to. I tell my daughter all the time, you have a good example. Your dad is a good example of a man you should. When you're looking for someone, you're fortunate to have a two-parent home. You don't have to go looking for love with someone else because your daddy represents a Christian man. Look at how he treats me and how we get along. And not saying that everything is perfect, but I'm trying to teach her, you have a role, you have an example of a good man. And so learn from that, so that when she is out there, when she graduates, she can say, "Hey, Dad, call him. What do you think about this?" Or Mom, So we just have to teach our kids. I'm a firm believer. We can practice what we preach. Growing up, sometimes it was what our parents said, but not their actions. And so for me, I tell my kids, look at us. What are we representing to you guys, and especially in a Christian home. And so that's what we try to encourage them. Don't look at those materialistic things. That doesn't last.
At all.
Very
cute
good.
Doesn't last. Cute doesn't last because we get old, we get wrinkles, we get broke down. That cute stuff run. I tell my sons out. I said, "You think you cute? You got a cute outfit on." I said, "But it's gonna run out one day, and they're gonna get tired of you. You're gonna be by yourself, and you're gonna be with Bumquisha over here in the projects." A
Not
big girl.
Bumquisha.
Yes, that's what you're gonna end up with because you messing over all the good ones. I tell them all the time. That's what you're gonna end up with if you don't get your stuff together.
Wow.
We do have a daughter, and as a father, my heart goes out. But I like to tell women, especially, you're never damaged goods. No matter what you've been through, no matter what you've done, you're never damaged goods. Exactly. Because you're somebody, and I even let my daughter know. And like the Bible tells us, train up a child in the way that they should go. So even if we pour it into our kids and they go left or right, just as long as they can reflect and remember. And I tell all women, white, black, or in between, you're never damaged goods. And if you present yourself like, hey, you might know my past, but this is my present, and I'm gonna tell you my future. And if you don't hear it, I'm gonna show you, right? And it's nothing. I mean, do you know that makes people so upset when you don't give into their negative words?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. So I tell women all the time, because especially for women, men, when it comes to the idea of being damaged, we're more insecure than anything else. But on that side of women having these bad relationships, feeling damaged, you're never damaged goods.
Well, I want to ask the men something, because I know we have women that are watching the broadcast that may be single. Are women who are insecure, is that attractive?
No, not at all. Not one bit. It's a definite. If a woman is insecure, it is a definite red flag.
It's a weakness. Well, men perceive that and try to take advantage of that weakness.
That too. Yeah,
that too. And manipulate the insecurity. And it's sad, but it happens all too often. Where you have women who are locked in relationships because of their insecurity. And
let me hit you with a question. So what if you are, and I'm not talking about you guys, but sometimes men make women insecure. Definitely. So if you're in a relationship with a woman and you put her in that position, and now all of a sudden you're not attracted to her because you did that to her. You get what I'm saying? Some women are just in those positions, and they're with that guy, and then it doesn't work out because he actually created that whole environment, and now he doesn't want her anymore, so he's moving on to somebody else. And I think that even though you said we're not damaged, that was so nice to hear. Like, women need to hear that more. Mm-hmm. I've never heard that in my life. That's my first time hearing that, and that kind of touched me.
That's the title of a book.
That touched me a little bit. Malcolm. I felt a little touch, I was about to get up.
Malcolm, that is the title of a book.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I felt it.
Definitely.
That was strong.
Thank you.
That was the title of a book. And that thing you said earlier about we marry expectations and divorce our reality, that's your subtitle.
That was nice, yeah.
That was beautiful. So don't nobody steal it, because that's his.
Yeah, and you have to
book. Seriously,
you have to go into a relationship knowing that you are talking to that person's representative. You ain't talking to that real person. So you can kind of reverse it. You kind of need to go into a relationship realistically and not, because some people will tell you everything you want to hear, do everything you want to do, and then reality hits. So you have to go into a relationship knowing that you're meeting their representative. I mean, we all want to make a good first impression. That's just the human in us. But you have to know that, you have to look at a person. You have to look past all of that and kind of accept who they are, appreciate who they are, and then that kind of makes them relax a little bit and they feel like they can be themselves. But if you're coming in being unrealistic, then they're going to continue to feed you the lies that you want to hear. And that's how you get your heart broken.
And that's when those boundaries come into play. When you have your preset boundaries, and you might have some weaknesses, but because you already have your preset boundaries, you're protecting yourself, and you're protecting yourself against your own weaknesses. So, I mean, if you know that sex is out of the question for your next relationship, then set yourself some boundaries. You can't have movie night at 2:00 in the morning.
That's not a movie night. That's a booty call. Okay.
We're here to see a Coke and whatever you want to pour. You already set yourself up. So then you set yourself up for success. You cut the date off at a certain time. You meet in a public place, and then if you do get together in a private setting, you have some people around you that'll hold you accountable. So you protect yourself with your own boundaries.
Yes.
That's what I was going to add too. Like when you talked about insecurities, a lot of times we have to take time out to make sure that we can heal ourselves. Yeah. And realizing that the next person does not define you or does not place value to you. Right. So you have to make sure that you already have that within inside yourself so that you do attract what you want. And then like you were saying too, so that you can recognize signs in people that you don't want. So just taking that time in between like a heartbreak or a relationship, and just backing off If that means just going ahead and getting into your word, finding things that you like to do, just getting to know who you are and what you need to be doing for yourself and for your own future.
I like that.
Helps to attract other people to you as well.
But Tish, sometimes men, and I don't know if the ladies will agree, sometimes men are intimidated by strong women.
True.
That's true. I'm one of those women, and as far as boundaries, I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I'm gonna put up with, what I'm not gonna put up with. They already know. I will leave in 5 minutes.
Is that why you're on number 3?
Oh, yes,
number 3, Tish.
I will not. I don't care. Hey, it didn't work out. Let me go find somebody else. I'll move on quick because I don't. Because I live in reality. And, you know, with my husband now, we've been married a little over a year. Prior to this, I was married about 6 years, which that actually ended, and I didn't see it coming. But like with him, I had this long laundry list of what I wanted, and he didn't check off on not one of them.
You mean before you got married?
Yes. And I did, and I waited, you know, I waited after my divorce, and I waited. I didn't, he was the first one. But I knew it, and I was like, okay, let's go. But I had a list, and I think that sometimes, like he was saying, we're not being realistic. In my list that I had based off of, you know, prior relationships, I don't want this, I don't want that. And he came along and he didn't check off on it, not one of them. But he is a wonderful husband. I can't say he is exactly what I need in my life. And sometimes we limit ourselves because we have this list of what we think the perfect man is. And sometimes the perfect man ain't what you think he is.
So. Same thing with the perfect woman. You know, men have an idea of what they feel like the perfect woman is, or what have you. And I think it's funny, since you mentioned that, you know, we all have our list of the perfect mate, and God has his. And sometimes we don't let his list match up with ours or what have you. But, you know, because there's always like, yeah, God, you know, I see what you're saying, but nah, this person ain't got this, that, and the other. Like,
this ain't it.
Yeah, like, and who am I to you? Your father. You know, you're going to listen to me. I don't care what your list is like. And, you know, sometimes you just got to bow down and just be like, all right, you got that, you know. And when you see when that happens, and then you take a look, because there's been times they've been like, yo, I want that shorty over there, you know. And when I look back and like, no, he's like, no, I'm going to give you this shorty over here. And when I took a look back and stopped and realized why he kept me from that woman, and I saw exactly why, because there was stuff that I was not seeing that he saw. He was like, yo, this is not good for you. Or even if it's the person that you're supposed to be with, the timing might be off. He's like, all right, yo, I'm ready for this person now. And like, no, I'm not done with this person yet. You know, let me deal and fix this person before, then you'll be ready. You know, so I think there's a lot, you know, there's a lot to that, and a lot, you know, with the expectations and stuff like that. You know, for a man, your perfect woman, your wife or whatever, you might not cook. That's just, you know, what it is. And if she does, she might.
Not Ella.
If she does,
listen,
you Miss Cora Johnson, daughter. I know you know how to cook.
Girl, I was at the club when the rest of them were learning.
Come on,
I didn't learn.
I went to the club and cooked. That ain't no excuse.
But then I should have been at your house.
Okay.
But no, listen, I want to talk to the guys. I want to switch gears here a little bit.
She switched gears.
She does.
Yeah, Ella.
Come on,
get
Ella.
their thoughts together. Okay.
Ella switched screens instead of switching gears. Yeah,
she'll be back.
Yeah,
yeah. I can't wait for the question. I wonder what she got ready for us.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna switch gears here. I don't know what's going on with my thing here tonight. I'm gonna switch gears here. Men, why do men cheat? One word. I don't want an essay. I want one word. Why do men cheat? I'm start with you, Malcolm. Wow. Maybe 3 or 4 words. Not an essay.
Why do men cheat? Greed.
Greed.
Greed mixed with insecurity.
Brian, 2-3 words.
Because indecisiveness.
Okay.
I think you already answered it, Brian, earlier.
Yeah, I think I probably kind of did. Yeah.
But you said something to the effect of getting ready for that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some men go into relationships and they're still struggling with stuff. You still struggling with, gotta have this woman, gotta have this woman. You have to be that person. Yeah. I think any man can be faithful, but if you're not, even if you're not the man that, if you don't want to cheat, then you're not going to do it. You just have to be that person. So you said it earlier, if you don't get yourself prepared and be the man that you are, or the woman, you go either way, you have to be ready for that. And I think so many people, as Ella said earlier, we get into stuff and we're not ready for it. We're not there yet. So I think that's the reason why men cheat, is because they're not that man yet. You're not a man. You're not a faithful man. You never prepared yourself. You came into the relationship with all kind of baggage, and you're still struggling with having different women.
Well, I would like to piggyback on that. I have a 1 through 4. Selfishness is number 1, and then the rest of them fall in whatever order a person could place it. But selfishness, greed, insecurity, and you just don't have that right connection, because and it's opportunity, because man or woman, we all fit in that same category: selfishness, greed, insecurity, and opportunity. Because if those align, then we find infidelity, and selfishness is at the top of the list. Because if I'm selfless, even if my marriage or my relationship is not fruitful or broken, then I would be empathetic towards the person I'm cheating on, and I wouldn't do it. But selfishness says, well, here's my excuse to do what I'm about to do, and I'm going to do it. Because people excuse murder, right? We had a man on another man's neck with his knee plus minutes, and we have seen so many people come up with excuses, like his nose was too close to the tailpipe. So when we talk about infidelity, selfishness creates a whole room for excuses, and I mean more than a room, a mansion, right, and a whole world. So,
let me ask you a question.
Yes.
When we talk about selfishness, because this is what I believe wholeheartedly, that people say follow your heart. Mm-hmm. I never follow my heart, because my heart is the most selfish thing in my body. My heart is what tells me to go eat that whole cake, knowing I'm on a diet. But my mind will say, don't do that, Letitia, because you're trying to lose 20 pounds. Why would you eat that cake? So I think that a lot of us are taught to follow our heart, but that is the thing that gets us in trouble. It is the thing that makes us selfish, because the heart wants what the heart wants.
That's right. Very good dialogue. I love it. Women, why do we take them back when they cheat? Nicole.
Well,
ask me.
I'm getting to you though.
Get your stuff and get out. Period.
That's a good question. Well, I think with women, and like Malcolm was saying, it's really both ways. It's not just men; it's women too. But if they are a forgiving person and wanting and following Christ, we forgive, and we're hoping that it works, and we want it to work. So I'm going to safely say that it's because we want the relationship to work. So we want to give it a try.
Be alone too.
Or maybe not wanting to be alone, but definitely, wanting that person in our lives. So we want to, just give it another go, or 2 or 3 or 4.
Do we get even? Should we get even, Nicole? Okay, so you got you, then let me get me. Do we go there?
But some people do that.
Right.
For those that have committed the adultery, that have cheated, if they are, wanting redemption from God, that wouldn't be the thing to do, because that person would be feeling the same guilt as the person that cheated. So, I'm looking at it from that perspective.
I like that.
Two wrongs will make a right.
I agree with you. I'm not going to cheat just because they cheat. I agree with that. Because I still want to uphold my values.
Yeah,
so
you stay who you are. Be the woman that you are. Don't stoop to that. Like me, I have no interest in cheating. If you cheat, you out the door. I'm
just
not going to
first time. First time, Tish?
Look, Ella, I'm almost 50. My husband is 57. If there is no excuse, you should be grown enough and old enough to know what to do and what not to do. I'm not your mother. And, I don't, it's like at a certain point, there's no excuse. Like, why do I have to keep doing this every single time? You should know better. So, no, you got to go. Period.
Okay.
And but to be fair, I let them know that up front. I'm not
good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Cheating is one thing I'm not gonna tolerate, because if there's something that you're having an issue with in the relationship, if there's something that I'm not giving you, or something I'm not doing, sit down and talk to me. And if we figure out that, hey, maybe we're just not for each other, we go our separate ways, and maybe we can remain friends. But if you go there, like, for me, there's no reason. Like, talk to me about what's going on in your head. I think communication, when people don't communicate with each other, it kills a lot of things that could have just been settled if you just talk about it. Yeah, so I just don't know. If you feel like, hey, I'm having these, I see this other lady and I think she's fine. If you come and tell me that, okay, come on, sign these papers. You go ahead on.
But I'm not. But listen, I want to go here because there are a lot of people watching this broadcast that are having some issues with this right here. You just said that you wanted him to talk to you. And I think one reason men don't is because they're afraid of telling you the truth. Well, listen, the reason I don't want to, I'm excited about another woman, because it's not always sex, is because she cooks and you don't, or because she listens to me and you don't, or because she supports what I believe in and you don't. And if he tells you that, you're going to say you're out. That's it. He was honest.
No. But I'm saying is you'll be surprised at how we react to certain things if you just talk to us. I think they just automatically assume that we're going to be mad and we're going to blow up. Not for me. Now, if my husband came to me and said that, I would actually sit down and talk to him about it, and we would try to work something out. Maybe I'm lacking somewhere. I just don't know. Sometimes we don't know.
Yeah, you want them to tell you.
We can't see ourselves. We can see what they're doing. You see what he's doing. Look, this is what he just walked in the door. I'm about to
Ben and Jerry's.
But now you
but no, seriously, sometimes you'll be surprised at what a person will, how people will take things. But if he came to me and told me that, I would say, hey, why do you feel this way? What is it? Is it me? Is it you? I mean, what is it? I feel like you can talk through anything. Good. And I'm not saying I'm going to leave, but, we might be able to work something out. But if you go behind my back and just do what you need to do without talking to me, without even finding out how I feel about a situation, then I can't.
Let me piggyback off of that for a second. Because
hold on a second, Brian. Hold on a second, because Malcolm's been trying to talk for like the last 10 minutes. Bless his heart.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
I was just going to say, I know the question was why do men cheat, but infidelity is not necessarily gender specific, because studies show that women are at the same rate in terms of infidelity, but women are I hate to say more smart about it. But
you're right.
It's true.
You're right.
It's true.
I'm not gonna get caught. That's just how that is.
It's done in more a succinct way. where it's not
Yes.
as messy as men can do it.
Right.
So because men tend to be so messy, we just look like the gender that always cheats.
Yeah.
But it really, if we look at numbers and data, it really goes heavily both ways, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, now
Let me say, see,
okay.
women, we coordinate our stuff. I'm gonna call Ella and say, Ella.
Yes.
If he called you, tell him I was with you last night. Look, Alicia, me, you, Ella, and Nicole was together last night by around 10:30. And we left there at 12. We get our stuff together, guys. Y'all just do stuff on the side. It's nothing together. And I wanna say something else. And like with relationships, when relationships end, the woman has already left long before it ends, because we coordinate our stuff. We get our stuff together. We already know our whole plan, what we're going to do. So when the relationship ends, we're good. And you out there in the rain on your knees crying and begging for her to come back because you've been doing stuff on the fly the whole time. You don't even have a plan. So yeah, we are smarter. That's why we were chosen to give birth and to nurture children.
You talking about that whole putting together stuff like what Tish just said. A man might tell his boys like, all right, look, my girl gonna call you. If she call you, tell her this, that, and the other. By the time she calls his friend, he done forgot the whole daggone story. So the story's already messed up already. So he's screwed from the get-go. His boys can't keep the story together.
Yes.
That's number one. Number two, guys, we got to do a better We got to do a better thing of knowing how to communicate. We're just not taught how to communicate at all, And so when we enter in any relationship, what have you, we're just not taught, how to feel. Like I've seen guys with in some relationships, and I've been in conversations with women where men have tried to express how they feel. And I'm not trying to play a victim role here, but when he's trying to present a particular point of view, she thinks of him as less than a man. So she won't. So sometimes a lot of men will be afraid to talk to their women about whatever situation or whatever topic or issue that they're having, because he's afraid of, their women might perceive him as being less than who he deems who.
That's where you assume. That's what I said. You guys assume that we're gonna act that way, and we're not like that. We're not.
Yeah,
you can talk to a woman about anything.
A lot of that has to do with he just doesn't know how to effectively communicate that as well, because man, sometimes we might be like have no couth to what we're saying. So the way that we want to say something may not be the way that it should be coming across as being said, and we make a situation worse than it already is because we're not, communicating effectively in that regard. So I think that's one aspect of doing it. And sometimes you just can't be afraid to just express how you feel before it gets to that boiling point where it's like, all right, I'm going to blow up because this woman is not doing what I told her to do 6 months ago. I'm done with this thing, so
looking for an excuse to get out.
Let me ask you a question, Brian. So, I noticed in a lot of relationships, men are not afraid to go to work and talk to their coworkers and talk to them about their problem. I'm talking about females, but you can't talk to your wife or your girlfriend. But you can go to work and talk, about anything. I mean, I don't understand that if you can talk to a complete stranger, well, not necessarily a stranger, but why is it that you guys can talk to other people, so easily and not talk to the person that you're actually in a relationship with?
I think because it's work. You see that person, like if it's somebody that you go to work with, you see that person all the time. And a lot of guys, to be honest with you, they probably already had a plan to step out on his wife regardless, especially if you see that new hotness at the job or what have you that you see every so often or what have you. So, you kind of think, oh, I can go cry on her shoulder, let her know, get what I want from her and still come back home to the wife without necessarily telling my wife what's going on or what have you. So to some guys, they might see, oh, I can have the best of both worlds. I got my wife at home and then I'm getting, your work wife, you're getting the 20% that you're not getting at home, you're getting that at work. So you kind of get that 100% out of two women that you feel that you're getting. And you know, she handles all your, she takes care of all your problems at work, what have you. Oh, she's not doing this. Tell me all about it, what have you. You know, and you know, that's kind of, I think he already has a plan in place to kind of talk to somebody else.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what Malcolm said, opportunity. I think too many women give men opportunities to cheat. You know, you have a lot of females out there that present that, and I think we always put it on the men. But let's talk to some of these women about always strutting your stuff in front of somebody else, man, or trying to make it better for him. You want to be there for him, but he has somebody. Why don't you talk to him about trying to work things out? When I was single, there was a guy. He was single, but him and his girlfriend. I'm trying to offer you a good life. I'm a good man. I'm trying to give you this, but I was like, this is not. You should be giving this to her. You guys have a 7-month-old baby. You should be doing these things for her. And I finally talked him into getting back with her. Like, it's not the right thing to do. And sometimes women, as he said, people are just selfish. They're looking out for self instead of, kind of staying out of the way and let people working through their relationships, their marriages. There are too many women out there that are given too many opportunities, and it makes it really hard for some men, to pass up the opportunity.
I want to get back to you guys' relationships. That's a good point, Letitia. Do we allow too many people in our marriage to have say-so? In other words, I've seen men have a best friend that's a female, or I've seen guys have a best friend that's a woman that has a best friend that's a guy, and a man who has a best friend that's a female. Is that playing with fire, Malcolm?
Repeat that.
You asked, is that playing with fire, Ella?
Yeah, okay, let me go back because we might have froze up there a little bit. What I was asking is, in relationships, sometimes you have these men that have these special friendships with women. And then you have women that have these special friendships with men. Is that okay in a marriage?
Yeah, and I heard your question, although you froze. You said, is that playing with fire? Is that what you said too?
Yes.
Yes, that is playing with fire. And you will most likely be burned. Because in a marriage bond, it's supposed to be you and your spouse in that inner circle. And if you do have a friend that's of the opposite sex, that friend needs to be in concert with you and your spouse. Not an exclusive relationship that you have that your spouse sometimes is privy to, because you're asking for problems. It's kind of like what Letitia was talking about with the diet thing. I mean, you can't go on a diet and go to Krispy Kreme every day or to an ice cream shop. You're asking for problems. You can say, "Oh, my will is strong enough," but if your hunger is at a point where your inability to make a good decision is gone, it's the same with your marriage bond.
Good point. Yeah. What do you say to that, Alicia? I'm gonna let you talk because Brian just takes over the conversation. Bless her heart, she just smiles. So what do you have to say to that, Alicia? Is it okay for you to have a guy that's a friend?
No, I agree with Malcolm. It is fire when you are having someone else in your relationship. Like you said, going to them, telling them your problems. You're giving them basically a roadmap of how, this man isn't doing this for me. And then you're telling them everything. So they know how to react and how to treat you. And, then that becomes enticing to you. So I think it's
we just talked about that actually.
Yeah, I think it's definitely playing with fire.
Did you want to add something, Tish?
Yes, I mean, you can always have friends of the opposite sex, but you have to understand sometimes they can put a strain on your relationship. I mean, you know, my husband has female friends, but y'all not about to sit up on the phone and talk all day. Like, you know, you can hang up and come talk to me if you want to talk to somebody, but it's not going to be any of that. I just feel like you just have to respect people's boundaries. Yeah. You know, even if I had a friend and we best friends, but once he gets into that relationship, I'm going to step back because I feel like that's intrusive. You know, I'm the opposite sex. It doesn't always mean that something is going on, but I just feel like it's a respect factor. You should respect your friend enough to not try to be, you know, that ear for them all the time, because it is going to cause problems in your relationship, whether you think it is or not.
Now, marriages are challenged, as we all know. I'm divorced, so I had a challenge in my marriage, and it didn't work. So, and I can say that with a straight face. So, I'm trying to be professional here, Tish.
Well, you know I'm not professional.
Well, you know what? Listen, I mean it's true. It ended in divorce. But I want to know, I mean, because I had challenges, and Tish, you've experienced challenges, but both of these couples are fresh. Malcolm and Nicole has been together 23 years. Brian and Alicia have been together for 1 year married, almost a year married. What challenges have you guys faced? I'll start with you guys, Brian and Alicia.
I think we're still in the honeymoon phase. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, y'all still smiling.
No, we've had some challenges.
Y'all can't agree on nothing.
Exactly. Exactly.
She like, no, it's all good. You like,
No, it's you know, when we moved in, we had the struggle of like what goes where, because she's used to having certain things in certain places, and I'm like used to having certain things in certain places, and you know, so you know, there's that, but it's finances is the main thing. How do we handle the finances? That's been the major struggle, of course, and you know, and health. We've had some health challenges or what have you, and you know, being the typical male, I tend not to. I don't mean to brag about this. There's nothing to brag about, but there are times where I just like, I don't feel like doing what the doctor told me to do, you know, or what have you. And she's on me about that constantly. You know, did you do this? Did you do that? That type of thing. But
you know that's because she loves you. That's because she loves you. Okay.
It's aggravating at first, but when I tell her, I'll come back and apologize. Say, sorry, baby. I know you're just trying to make sure I'm doing well for myself. So.
And when I say that, you know, we're still in the honeymoon phase, because I consider those things to be small, and you know, I hope things stay that small. But
Nicole is smiling.
But, you know, one thing that I know that we have done and that we learned in marriage counseling is to definitely, when we get to challenging areas, is to stop and pray about things. For example, our budget, which since he brought that up. I'm one who always has to go by, you know, like a budget. I need to know what's going to happen, have a plan. What are we doing with our lives? What's the 5-year plan? What's coming up in 10 years? That's just who I am. So, and that's not who Brian is. Brian is like,
I'm thinking about tomorrow.
Or right now.
Right now, yeah.
That's a balance.
Yeah. So I know there was one night where we were butting heads, and again, he was the first one, and he was like, well, let me stop and let's just pray about it. And
what were you guys arguing about? What was the argument about?
He was getting frustrated with just the whole process of having the budget. He didn't want to do it, but we were going to do it.
No, well, it was more or less, I was more or less upset that my numbers weren't adding up the way I thought they should add up. So I wasn't mad at her. I was really mad at the way.
You're mad at the calculator and you're taking it out on her? Really?
Actually, I wasn't really mad at her. I was just out of frustration.
In your feelings?
I was in my.
How did you guys resolve it? How did you resolve it?
Honestly, that's what we did. We prayed about it, and then we sat down and we calmed down, because that's what I think prayer does. It calmed us. It allowed us to regroup. And because I think when you pray, it brings some type of humility to you, and humbleness. So and it allowed us to both be vulnerable to each other too. So just sitting down, because I think our egos and pride gets in the way sometimes too. So just being able to calm that down and be able to refocus.
That's
And
beautiful.
we've done that a few times.
And I had to realize I'm the one messing up my own daggone money. So I was like, it ain't her fault. So I'm like, get my
Now,
finances.
Tish, I don't know if I'm gonna be upset because of something you did, and in the middle of it, I'm gonna remember. Oh, wait a minute, let's pray. I tip my hats off
Yeah,
to you
no,
guys. I don't know if I
no.
could do that.
Yeah.
Pray for me.
No,
And the thing is that
we just don't, yeah, because me, I like to cool out, so you need not be in my presence right now. I'm gonna go outside, you go out the other door. That's what my mom told me. You go out one door and he go out the other door, and then y'all come on back in and sit down. So that's what I do, and I can't, but
I think the thing that helped us too, though, was going through marriage counseling and learning those tools that would allow us to be able to do the timeouts or the things that say, okay, look, this is what you need to do right now. Because that wasn't the only situation. There was a time where we were dating, and I was, it was a heated moment where it was like, okay, we can walk away. You could go your way and I can go mine.
Yeah, she was done with me.
What did you do to get her there?
It was just like, for me, it's a build up.
Go.
So I can allow things to build up, and then once I've told you, then I can I'll give you time, and if you don't do it, then there's a moment where I'm going to explode. But then too, where we sat down, because it got hot and heavy, but then we ended up praying about the situation, and there were tears. It was an emotional night.
Oh, wow.
But I think, again, God allows your heart to open when prayer is said. I know that that's not something that we all go to automatically, even though I think it's something that we should do.
Good job. I love it.
Situation.
I hope everybody's listening, because if you're just tuning into the broadcast, we're talking with these beautiful couples here, and they're sharing their experiences of love and marriage and the difficulty that even they face. So it means that, yes, although you go through some things, you can still work it out. So let's hear from Malcolm and Nicole. Tell us about a challenging moment that you guys had and how you dealt with it.
Well, we if you've been to, we truly enjoy going to marriage couples retreats, seminars, to learn all that we can. And so from attending those different seminars, your typical arguments or disagreements that couples get into it about is always communication is one. Finances, when Alicia and Brian talk about that, I can laugh about that because Malcolm is a budgeter. I'm like Brian. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, but and that is a hard conversation to have when you're used to doing your finances one way and you have someone that wants you to sit down and let's look at it. But it balances itself out and it works out. He's helped me with managing money and what to do with our finances for the future. And then I've helped him to say, hey, we might not live tomorrow, so let's go and do this today, So, but over time, those things, sometimes you're not able to resolve an issue right away, and it takes time. So again, it can be finances, communication, family, sex, those topics.
And she's being nice, because, like, for us, when we first got married, it was a bigger struggle for her, because she was from a female dominated household, and she didn't have any men in the house, so she didn't experience how living with a man can be, just a simple and small thing. And for me, my household was a male dominated home. And although my parents were together, it was still more men in the home than women. So when we first got married, it was just simple things like hair in the shower that she just was like, and there's hair on the sink. Like, what is this all about?
Right.
And
I'm with you on that.
it was a
Oh
struggle.
yeah.
And for us, I mean, and we've told this in other shows, 3 years in, we were like, do we want to stay together or not? I mean, we had to sit down in our living room because, year one and year two was a struggle because year one light bulb comes on. And by year three, it was more like, is this something we want to keep struggling with? Because now that reality is setting in. Remember, she had an expectation. I had an expectation. My expectation was a good meal and some hot sex. The meal could be cold, but her expectation was something else, like this man needs to do A, B, and C. But we started seeing a different reality as we stayed together longer and longer. And we asked ourselves, what do we want to do? And then she came up with the bright idea of couples retreats and books. I mean, because remember, guys, now we're like 27 and 29, so we're still young. Well, no, even younger than that, because she was 24 and I was 26. So I mean, we're learning. So that was the tough part. That's the lows, and then we have our highs.
Yeah.
So would you say then, Malcolm, that the reason you guys were able to keep it together because you communicated, that's number one, and you both made a conscious decision that we both want this, let's find a way to make it work, and she came up with the retreats. And that is what kind of made you guys start seeing it for what it really is.
And that's when the light bulb was coming on, right? Because we thought we could do it of ourselves. Like, let's do these, let's check off this list and try to stay together. But then when we realized, you know what, there's still something else missing, what the key ingredient that we knew, we began to realize, look, we got to have our own personal relationship with God, right? Because I got to have myself together with him. You got to have yourself together with him. And then we'll meet up in the middle somewhere. Because if my allegiance is not to him, I'm willing to do anything. And when I say anything, in my selfishness, I might find another female. In her selfishness, she might find another man. So we had to say, you know what? Since we're trying to stay together, let's now try to get this spiritual life going and make it stronger. So that's when we started getting into church ministry, couples ministry. We were a part of the couples ministry, learning it. And then we became couples ministry leaders and just became way more active in the church and in our own personal study by ourselves too.
And definitely, like Alicia said, as a married couple, you have to pray. I mean, you have to pray together. And it's not easy when you do have arguments to say, let's pray about it, but it gets easier. Somebody has to humble themselves and say, let's pray. And it's something about the Holy Spirit when you pray together and you're going through issues, how he just works it out. And I can give you an example. I had a Cherokee truck one time, and Malcolm was like, it's time to sell it. But I loved that truck so much, and I was like, I want to sell it. And
I remember that truck.
And he was like, you're gonna sell this truck. So I was like, well, wait a minute, that female, the alpha female man was like, you're not gonna tell me what I'm gonna do, right? So his parents came into town and he prayed about it. I didn't know it. I prayed about it. Woke up the next morning, we both were coming to each other and we were about to speak at the same time. And he was like, if you don't want to sell your truck, you don't have to. I was like, oh, if you want to sell the truck, you can sell the truck. It's fine. I'm gonna let you take the lead on it. And we both, realized that we both had prayed about it. So prayer is very important. And,
wow.
We wake up, we pray together. We have devotion with our children every night. Well, mostly every night. Sometimes we miss it, depending on what's going on. But we definitely make it a conscious effort to pray before we go to bed and just throughout the day because we need it.
See, this is very good conversation because a lot of people are jumping into marriages and don't have a clue about what it takes to be a good wife or to be a good husband. Before we get out of here, I want you guys to, because we're going to play our game tomorrow night, because this conversation it was just so good. I didn't want to stop, to have the game, but we're going to do the game tomorrow. But what is it that each one of you, before we get out of here, would tell the people watching this broadcast if they are single? What do you say? We're going to take one by one because this is where I listen in. I'm taking notes. What do we single people need to learn from what you guys have been through? And how would you encourage someone who's single, either that have never been married or they're divorced and now single? What would you say to those people? We'll start with you, Alicia, since you've talked the least because you're just so sweet and just so quiet. What would you say to? I want you to talk to the women.
I think like what I said earlier, getting to know yourself and finding that personal relationship with God so that you can know exactly what you want and what you will accept and what you will not accept. So just taking time to focus on yourself. And I remember when I was single, people would tell me, go travel, go do whatever it is that you want to do. Go on mission trips, go whatever you want to do. Definitely build that relationship with God. Make sure that you know who you are. Go see the world. Do whatever it is, because the time will come. Because I didn't think it would, so I thought I had plenty of time. But the time will come when you have that opportunity where God will put somebody in your life. But go ahead and know who you are. Get to know yourself. Do all the things that will make you a whole person before reaching out to find someone else.
Good advice, Brian.
Learn
you
how
talk
to
to the men. I want you to talk to the single men, and I want you to talk to them like you talk to them when you're not in front of the camera. Okay.
I will say this still. You have to know how to love yourself first. You can't be in a relationship with somebody if you don't know how to love yourself, so that you can teach that person how to love you. And you always know your love languages first, so that you know what you expect out of what you want somebody to do for you in a relationship, and therefore you can know what to do as well. Make sure you're straight with, for me personally, I say make sure you're straight with God. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to cause no drama in someone else's life. Make sure you have unpacked all of your emotional baggage. Don't enter into a new relationship and then enter your baggage on somebody else, and expect them to fix it. Learn to make yourself happy, so that you can also teach other people how to keep their happiness, and learn how to love somebody as well. You know what I'm saying? Love is a two-way street. You can't be hogging all the love in the world. You know what I'm saying? So you have to learn how to love and learn how to be a person that's able to love somebody else. And I think that's what I would say.
Now I'll let you guys talk to the single folks. I'm going to let Malcolm and Nicole talk to the married couples who are experiencing issues right now, don't know if they want to stay together or break up. I want you guys to talk to those people. And I want to start with you, Nicole. Talk to those women.
Well, what I would like to say is, for women, we typically have this vision in our head about how we want it to be. And when it doesn't happen that way, it's a big issue. But one thing I would say is, with marriage, when you say I do and you make that commitment, the commitment is not just to the spouse, the man, but it's really God. Because if we stay committed to Him, He is going to help us through whatever we go through our marriage. So if there's somebody going through problems, issues, I want to say hang in there, pray, ask God to guide you guys, and just hold on and stay committed, because this too shall pass. And just focus on God and doing His will, and He's going to bless the situation. And I don't want that to come across as a cliche. I know for a fact we are a living witness. So just stay committed, regardless of what you may be going through.
All right, Malcolm.
Wow.
That was good.
Yeah,
that was very good.
That was just so on point. And to give it like a couple's term, there's something called the 80-20 rule, where, in a marriage, we'll look at 20% of the problems, when 80% of the person is really aligned with our values, right? And that 20% just annoys us so much that we ignore the 80% that we're okay with. And again, perception is reality. So if I start to perceive that 20% that I don't like about my spouse is so bad that I don't want to be with them, my reality will become I don't want to be with them anymore. But if we just embrace the good in our spouses, especially if they're willing to try with you, of course, remember I said God number one. But if your spouse is willing to try with you, then you got to just push forward and say, you know what, God, with your help, we're going to focus on the 80% that we love, and even if it's flip flop, you know, where you only really like 20% of them, but you hate 80, you just begin to ask for that percentage to increase no matter what it is, and God will do the rest.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, listen. Now, Tish, I mean that both of you, I mean, that was just so awesome. I mean, we're getting reviews. You guys are just people are really listening to what you guys are saying. And I think that we have picked the best couples to give this great advice. But Tish, I want I have to say, you've been an excellent co-host. Like,
Yes,
I've
you
been
have.
ghost a lot tonight because I don't know what's going on with my technology here. Yes. I love it. I told you you would be awesome because you have a lot in you that you can share with people. You know, you're all about if the man cheats, he's out. We got that. He's out. And there are a lot of people that think that same way because I have sisters that are the exact same way. They're not
Yeah.
trying to pray, they're not trying to counsel, nothing. That's a wrap.
Yeah.
Me on the other hand, I'm a little different because I believe in God, I believe in people. And I know that the same God has to keep me from doing some of the stuff that I do and forgive me for some of the stuff I do. You know, I have to also be willing. Cheating is one of the hard ones, but it does, like all of both couples have said, it takes God to be able to do it. But I want you, Tish, to talk to those women because we're in that era now where women think I don't need a man. Okay, I got my own money. I got my own house. I got everything I need. I got money in the bank. I don't need a man. You know how we get sometimes. Talk to those women.
Well, I don't know if I can talk to them because some people have their minds made up. But I will say, I have my own car. I have my own money. I have my own everything. But I still need my husband. There are some things that I'm not able to pour into myself. You can love yourself, but the love that you get from another person is a different type of love. So when you have those two different loves pouring into you, you just become a whole person. I mean, I know you can be a whole person, but it's I just think it's wonderful, being in a marriage. I love it, and he brings things to me that I can't bring to myself. And I want to add, in marriages, I have come to realize me and my husband, we are not in a power struggle. I'm not here to make him do anything or to be somebody. He's not here to make me be who he wants me to be. We're meeting each other halfway. We have accepted each other and we tolerate each other. Because my mom told me, you're going to have to tolerate somebody. Because I was always like, oh, I'm not putting up with that. My mom was like, well, you're going to have to put up with somebody.
I can hear her saying that,
yes,
actually.
so I have come to realize that this is true. I have to tolerate somebody. So with my husband, there are things that he do, and I might not necessarily love it, but I tolerate it because I love him, and he tolerates me. So we're not in a power struggle. When you're young, like Nicole and Malcolm were, okay, we're about to do this with our finances. We're gonna see. We don't do that. We don't do that. We don't have a power struggle. We have, finances. We have a pot that we take care of everything. But I have mine. He has his. We do stuff together. But it's just I'm in a different place in life, and I don't desire to try to control him and make him be somebody, and he doesn't control me, and that works for me because marriage is different for everybody. Everybody's not looking for the same thing. So I just, but getting back to the point, just someday you're gonna get old, And being alone is gonna get old. I know, some people are okay with it, but there's nothing like growing old with somebody, having somebody by your side. You don't have to try to call somebody, hey, let's go to the movies. Always trying to find somebody. You got that person right there. He's right here by my side. He's my best friend. He's the person that I talk to. We do everything together. And I know during quarantine, a lot of couples got irritated with each other. I didn't get irritated with him. I loved being with him every single minute. And I know that I've been working COVID. I'm a nurse. So I've been seeing too much death over the year. This past year with all my patients, pretty much all of my patients died. I mean, I'm going to be honest. And it makes you realize that, what's important in life. And I'm not going to go over here and fuss with John about something little anymore. Like, I don't do that anymore because it could be gone in the blink of an eye. So we're not going to sit here and fuss, okay, whatever. You go do what you do. Come on back in the house. Let's sit down. Let's have sit down and talk. You put things into perspective. So just, you might want to be alone, but I just, there's nothing like having somebody there by your side.
Wow. Great advice from everyone. Guys, listen, we have to come back and do this tomorrow. I know we went over our time, but none of y'all checked me. Nobody messaged me. I don't know. Maybe I got messages from y'all. I seen Malcolm, them looking at their phone there. They're probably like, look at Ella. She know we texted her.
No, we were trying to see, are we on Facebook too?
Yes.
Oh,
you're on Facebook and YouTube Live right now. Yes.
Because I can't multitask and try to.
That's okay. That's okay. After the broadcast, you guys can share the show to all of your friends and invite them again for tomorrow night. But listen, guys, you have heard some great advice. I know I have been taking notes. These are wonderful minds here. Guy could not have brought two better couples on the broadcast tonight to talk to you. I hope you guys watch it. If you're just tuning in and you missed the show, you have to play this back because they have given some very good advice and they used it from their heart and their experiences. You know how you get sometimes people talk about stuff because it just sounds good? These guys are sharing with you their own lives and they're good, the good and the bad, and that's what I like about it. They're willing to talk about the good and the bad because we all know we're human. So we're going to go through some stuff, right? But I hope you guys have learned something from the broadcast. We're going to be back here tomorrow night, same time, 8:00 on Facebook and YouTube Live. That's 8 Eastern, guys, okay? So you have to Google and find out what time is 8 Eastern in my city because it might be 6 your city. It might be 7 your city. So I want to make sure that you guys all come back and be a part of this tomorrow night because tomorrow night we're going to have a contest. We're going to have like the newlywed game. And they're going to have their paper and give some answers to our questions. And we're going to see which couple is most compatible. But I think you guys both win. But, we can't do 200 miles both together, But I am just excited that you guys are here. I love both of you. I have learned, I really sincerely, I know we cracked a lot of jokes before the broadcast because that's just what I do. I'm silly and crazy. But I'm real, okay? Yeah. But I have learned. Because you know what, I'll be honest with you. There had come a point in my life where I'd given up on being able to be married because my heart has been broken so much. I mean, it's almost like, is it still there? Because you still want to give people a chance, but people I've learned they take advantage. They take advantage of your kindness. They take it because I love to give. I'm a giver. I love to do things for people that I love. And sometimes they forget that it works both ways, and I don't ever get tired because it's just in me. But, I just want to, those people that are where I am, there's hope for us, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have this show because I look at Facebook and I see a lot of the comments that people have and you'd like to hate on people that got it going on. And that's not right either because both of these couples here have had to sacrifice to be sitting in that seat right there where they are. I mean, look at Alicia, bless her heart, and Brian. They went for how many years? Nothing, no sex. And look at them now. They can't stop smiling.
Look at it. He all on.
Yeah. But you know what? She set her boundaries. She set her boundaries and she stuck with it. And I am so proud and impressed with you on that, Alicia. Because there are a lot. That mean I didn't think they made women that did that. So I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
And Nicole, girl, you got some good perms because he did something right. Because look at your hair. Right? Look at this hair. This woman has a head full of hair. She's not over here switching wigs like I am. Right? So you did something right. Because they say something about when a man puts his hand in your head, it makes it grow. I've heard that. So listen, who would have thought that your story started at the barbershop, at the salon? Right. You know, but you guys are beautiful and you're there together. And I'm glad that you guys came onto the broadcast. Anybody have anything else to say before we get out of here?
We're going to see you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow. Listen, for those of you that are tuned in, thank you guys so much. And do me a favor, share the broadcast and let your friends and family know that we're having another Love and Marriage show tomorrow night, right here, 8 o'clock Eastern on Facebook and YouTube Live. We'll see you tomorrow night, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show.